Hosted in conjunction with Chris Media, the CEO interview series allows investors to hear directly from the CEOs leading the companies featured on Wholesale Investor. Enjoy the interview and reach out via the details in the description.
Hi, and welcome to another Crisp TV Q&A. Today, I'm joined by Dan Cox, founder and CEO of Asention. Thank you for joining me, Dan.
It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to have a discussion with you.
Amazing. Now, just to start off and to give our audience a high-level overview of Asention, could we begin with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Asention actually is coming into its 10th year next year. We founded in March of 2013, and it's been a very interesting ride, starting out in the business intelligence and data warehousing industry and migrating into the master data management. And now we really are the market leaders in clean data, turning data into profit. And so we do cater towards the Tier 1 and federal and state governments, which obviously are under a heavy strain to make sure that their data is protected, clean, and of course secure.
Amazing. Firstly, congratulations on the 10th year anniversary, and I'll make you make like 50, 60 years more in the industry. Now, so there's a little bit to unpackage there. Let us talk about what did you see in the market as a problem and then the solution that you came up with.
Yes, well, data is a big area, and as we all know, every organization, everything that we do actually has data tagged to it. Absolutely. And so it is very much about the ability to understand the information and do our jobs better. So I originally organized and created Asention because I felt obligated to help really the middle management of organizations. Those individuals that tend to be the highest educated, the most capable, and tend to be relied on by senior executives to do everything, even if it's manual, redundant type of recurring tasks. They know it's going to get done and they can know that it's going to happen. And so if I was able to build the capabilities and solutions around those types of individuals to eliminate those repetitive, non-value add tasks and free them up to be able to actually use their education, their knowledge and experience to help those senior executives in their decision support. So that was a big push to me, for me and the organization, and we're still making sure that that is part of our ethos around customer intimacy and understanding the organizations and businesses we deal with in order to make sure that we're solving the right problems. And so we don't have a single solution, but we really look at what is actually needed. And I previously mentioned that we're the market leaders in clean data. Well, clean isn't just a word, it actually is an acronym. So C being we care about the story of the organization, the narrative of the business unit manager, of the department head, etc., to make sure that we're actually focused on the most important piece. Once we understand that which they actually need to have and the outcomes of that, then we understand the data that's important to support that. Once we understand that, we can start to put language around it. So that's the L, which means standards. Just like you and I speaking English, there are standards around how we actually say something, formulate sentences, punctuation, etc. Data is exactly the same way. It is data as a language. And so we need to put in governance, and of course a lot of people don't like that particular word, right? Because it seems to be bureaucratic in nature, but I like to call it empowerment. So even if we take like an example of, let's say, the military, each level in the military, whether you're a non-officer or a commissioned officer, they each must have the right information at the right time for the right context to actually make decisions. And if they do, they can actually accomplish something amazing. The same thing within an organization, any organization, for data. And I was just the other day, I had a podcast with the head of data at Canva. For those that don't know, Canva was actually founded here in Surrey Hills and is an amazing organization. That organization is mostly made up of creative types. So if you start talking to them about governance, shut down. No, that's bureaucracy. We have to make sure that we have our creative juices flowing. So when I was talking to the head of data, she said, look, I can't use the word data governance. So we call it data empowerment. Because if they get the right information, they can make decisions and do their job. So that is one big area. And of course, that's the C, that's the L. Then the E is the education. So the ability to understand their data, what they need it for, and why it's there. And that's data literacy. Then you have the A, which is accountability. And that's the biggest portion of it, making sure that there are stewards, that there's ownership, that the technologies are actually working, etc. And of course, this is a big area and lots of heavy skills and expensive skills. So in is that no one can do this journey alone. And we're there to help our clients. So that's a big portion to actually swallow there to try to unpack, but it's definitely how we try to make sure that we continue to make sure that we're intimate with our customers and target the right things and outcomes and solutions for our clients.
Amazing, excellent. Thank you for breaking that down. I'm sure it gives our audience a great idea and understanding into what actually makes Asention clean data. Okay, so now let us talk about what has the feedback been from the market. So have you seen people resonate well with the product? And also, so that's the first part of my question. And second part is if you could also talk to us about any key clients or partnerships.
Sure, absolutely. And those I do definitely tie together. So we are more bespoke and custom to build things for clients because every client, even though we might be solving a very similar problem, they're different, and their workflows, their processes, people are different. So we need to make sure that whatever we look at trying to build for them, whether there is technology involved or new technology or supplemental technology or replacement technology or no technology. We need to make sure that it's according to what they need. So when we look at that, we really have a gamut of tools. So we are a reseller of many global partners. So partners like TIBCO, who just acquired Citrix as well and going through a merger, which is going to increase our portfolio greatly as well as far as the number of tools we can actually utilize. Atacama, InterSystems. InterSystems is an amazing product suite, and their expanse in the health market and now into supply chain is just unmeasured. It is the fastest database in the world, microseconds of real-time streaming information, and actually have about 80% of the world's capital markets on their platform as well.
Oh, amazing.
So you can imagine the volume that just goes through it. Also, people like ASG Software for data lineage, Microsoft, of course, and their Microsoft stack. We do a lot on Azure. And people like Yellowfin for really innovative dashboarding and visualizations. IBM and Kyndryl, of course, we have to bring them in for a lot of their technologies as well. So those are some of the technical partners that we actually have, and we have a few more as well, like Clued-In. Clued-In is a new partner that is on the Azure space. It's one of the only technologies that are third-party that are officially part of the Microsoft Azure Data Fabric landscape, which is a phenomenal task to do. So we've got those types of technologies that allow us to do a number of different disciplines, not just cleaning data as such, but also prevention of dirty data and the management of data. So things like master data, reference data, yes, data quality, data lineage. So really that's about understanding where the data comes from, which is a high requirement in the FSI community, especially around compliance and regulatory elements. We also have some great partnerships on teaming. So we partner a lot with KPMG, with EY, Leidos, who we've got 4 projects on at the moment, one being the largest DoD project, Department of Defense for Australia, now in train around the health management system and replacing that. And we are literally the foundation data layer across 29 different suppliers and technologies on top of. So it's quite a big partnership. So I said KPMG, EY, Asention, and Emphasis is becoming a good partner as well, and looking to expand and help them with a number of their DNA projects as well.
Brilliant. Well, that actually makes me ask my next question. Are you looking to expand globally as well? Is that something which is in your timeline?
Absolutely. So Asention is, like I said, this organization that really prides itself on making sure that data is valuable. And one of our key topics, which I did mention earlier, was turning data into profit. Right? Now, there's a big trend to call data as an asset, which it is, but assets can very easily turn into liabilities. Right? So if we look at somebody like, for example, Avis or Hertz during the pandemic, their fleet of cars instantaneously overnight became liabilities. Why? Because they still had to secure them, they still had to maintain them, still had to have the processes around them, right? Yes, they tried to get rid of a whole bunch of them so that liability would shrink. Data is the same way. Collecting data for the sake of collecting data is not a good practice, right? Because a lot of data actually doesn't have very much value. And yet, because of the regulations, and there's going to continue to be regulations, GDPR, SOX, Basel, CDR here in Australia, and of course FSI just has massive regulations. So if you collect it, you're going to have to secure it. You're going to make sure that access is proper. Make sure that there's cyber around it. Where are you going to store it? Those are all massive costs. So making sure that, that we address that by saying, well, if it's not a living part of your organization and not providing value and contributing to profit, either on the revenue side, being able to see new opportunities, or on the cost side, looking at efficiency gains, etc. So making sure that it really is an active part. So when we start looking at that and seeing what we want to do as far as an organization and expanding, the borders of Australia are just too small. So we have opened up, last year, we opened up our office in New Zealand, in Auckland, and that organization is going very well. Lots of opportunities there. It's been very much underserviced market. And earlier this year, we opened our office in Singapore. So Southeast Asia is dramatically increasing. So Southeast Asia, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, those countries are growing 50% a year in data management. So by 2025, that region alone is going to be worth $35 billion.
Amazing, wow.
Annually. So it's a huge pie, and there's lots of capabilities to actually get a great market share in there. Australia is growing as well, only 24% year on year. But if we compare that to the rest of the globe, North America, Europe, it's only 7%. So there's a huge trend here. We are looking at some joint ventures in Indonesia, and also we've been approached by a couple of organizations out of Saudi Arabia. Just recently, to add on to that global expansion, we as a data management organization, it doesn't matter really what industry that we're in, it's really kind of a horizontal layer. And so we've learned a lot in multiple different industries, and one of those, of course, is government. We're heavily involved in government. As you know, our data, citizen data, is extremely important, and it needs to be secure, but it needs to be accurate as well. And so about 3 years ago, I really had this vision of looking at how an organization like ours could help governments and citizen data in a way that the data wouldn't be owned by government, wouldn't be owned by a for-profit organization, but would have a non-for-profit structure that would be custodians of the citizen data. And actually last week in Canberra, we launched our inaugural solution called Citizen 360. And Citizen 360 is about empowering citizen data for the betterment of government services. So it was a great event in Canberra, and it is about the citizen owning their own data and being able to give consent management, restrict their data, and revoke that privileges as well as needed for government agencies. We actually worked quite heavily with a number of federal agencies as well as the Northern Territory government, which, as we know, has had a string of very high-profile situations for family safety and child safety. And we've been working with them to understand how we can better make sure that the information of family units are kept privileged and made sure that they're not accessible by individuals that shouldn't, even estranged parents or estranged partners, which is a big element. And make sure that it's in real time, that if a consent is changed or an address is changed, that is very quickly updated. So that's a huge thing for us. So it is about third parties, it's about the citizen and the government being able to all work together. So we will be launching and having additional events in Sydney and Melbourne in September and October, and looking at November and early next year for London, Paris, and Rome.
Very exciting, and thank you for sharing that. I'm sure for the audience, they would love to connect with you wherever you go and keep following your journey. Now, like talking about the journey, can you share some of the highlights that have been so far, and also some key milestones that you have hit, while you have been working through? And I know that you've shed some light on it, but anything else that you would like to add?
Yeah, it has been. We aren't a startup; we are a growing company. And as I mentioned earlier, we are just about ready to hit our 10th year anniversary. We did in 2015 and 16 look at rebranding to the Asention name and theme. And that was a big milestone for us to hit. And also during that period is when we did switch from just focusing on visualizations or business intelligence, as it once was called, into the data management area. And we knew that we could really help organizations get a handle on not just big data, but the small data, which is as, or if not even more important. Yeah. So that was a big milestone. So in 2020 is when we broke the 10 million revenue turnover, which was huge for us. It was a huge win. And of course that shot us into being ranked second for the CRN's Fast 50 for that year. And that was a really nice accolade. Over the last 3 years, we've been Partner of the Year to TIBCO, once for the new Partner of the Year for Global Partner, as well as then last year we were Partner of Asia Pac. So those are really good accolades to actually have, and really proud of those. Through the pandemic, because of the type of clients that we targeted, so the Tier 1 and federal government, a number of our government contracts were postponed because we do a lot of security cleared data sets. So most of the time we have to be in a secure environment, network, and so since we couldn't be on site, we had to postpone those. So we had a big dip in our revenue during the pandemic, but we were able to keep all of our staff, all of our employees, because we actually do hold all the talent in the region for a few of the technologies. So outside of our organization, there is no skill set. And that's a big and unique proposition for our organization. So we do have global organizations coming to us instead of us having to go out to them, which is great. So the other day I had a call by EY saying, hey, we know that we've been working with you on this other particular insurance organization. We've got another requirement because you are the guys. or gals. And so when that happens with a partnership, you know that that's a big milestone to hit. The last one I want to mention is last year in December. It took 3 years to sign off, but with Leidos being the prime contractor and us being the foundational data layer, we won the contract with DoD, JP 2060. It's a phenomenal contract, nearly $500 million worth over the next 15 years. And the types of things that we get to work on are just so unique and so thrill-seeking for our staff. It's just, we're happy to be part of that.
Wow, amazing. Oh gosh, there's a lot. I mean, I'm so like short of words now. Like like hearing about your journey and all the progress that has been with Asention so far. Now you touched upon your team, so my next question is centered around them because I feel that team is the center part of any organization. The skills that they bring to the table. So can you highlight on their skill set?
Yeah, our team is just phenomenal. So. I do have to say a few things about our culture, and I obviously, as CEO founder, I am in charge of the culture, but it's the people that really make it. So we do have a number, 3 or 4 individuals that have been here for the entire time, and actually one that was with me consulting even before 2013. So it's just great to see that type of longevity and loyalty, and it's also because we have such unique projects and that they want to learn and be part of those. I also have to mention that I have had 3 staff actually leave, but then come back.
Wow.
So they thought that, oh yes, I'm going to go get a better job, better pay, and not more than a few months later, talking again, saying, oh, we really loved working with you guys. We want to come back. The type of work, the type of things that we do, of course, the culture and the freedom that we do have. So we technically have never lost any staff.
Wow,
So
that says it all. When you know that
absolutely.
someone goes out to the market and given like so many opportunities are available now, but still when they come back and they see that they actually had the best of all, so that's amazing.
Yeah, it really is a testament, and I really appreciate that. It's really great. So we also have quite a number of young families as well, and we have both spouses in some of the families working for us. So it's almost like a really family atmosphere. But as far as our some of our highlights as well, most of our staff do have 10 to 15 years of experience. So we tend to have very high collaborative teams at our clients. And that really enables the client to take ownership of the project, the program, the technologies when we start stepping off the program. And that makes it extremely valuable to the organizations that we're helping. So just to highlight, we have one individual who some of his code is still being used for the Mars rover's arm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
That's right. We also have another individual who their code is still working for some of the heart transplant software to monitor as well.
Gosh, brilliant.
Yeah, we have a number of our staff that actually do have their own apps on Apple and Google Play. So very talented individuals. So my CLT, so my core leadership team, headed up by Lawrence McGann, my COO. He actually launched the Samsung Galaxy 2 globally. So he definitely knows how to run programs for sure. A great gentleman, and I love having him next to me, being able to help me run the organization. Oscar Chavez, my Chief Growth Officer, he's placed with him and his partners nearly $17 billion in Australia for capital raises. So he's very, very experienced in that realm, and he is taking up and driving our sales capacity around the globe. Jin Tech, who is my managing director out of Singapore, he was the previous CEO for the Sports Hub in Singapore. The Sports Hub runs the Olympic program, and during his tenure, he built all of the Olympic facilities in Singapore, so nearly a $35 billion budget. So he definitely knows how to administer. We also have Zoran, Mustak, our marketing director, and as you can see via our social and email campaigns, he's very active and really hits the mark on our branding and really cuts through and gets good results. Carol, our HR director, people and talent, she was the previous CEO for Greenwood Care Centers. So she went in there when there was only one center and built it to 117. So yeah, and lastly is our finance controller, Chris Hu. He has experience across Asia Pac, Hong Kong, and Australia, and is a great asset for helping us make sure that we're on track with all of our KPIs. So that pretty much rounds out our team, and very impressed and very happy that we have those team members. The last one, we have just reorganized a little bit to make our own business unit around government. So Rosita Roberts has taken up the reins as the head of government and is already well and truly established great relationships throughout the federal government in Canberra.
Excellent. Well, it's safe to say that you have it all, and you've got the technology, you've got the idea, which is very fundamentally healthy, and you've got a brilliant team backing you up. So now, and this would be my final question for today, Dan. So for the audience watching the interview today, what should they be excited to see with Asention moving forward? So what are the milestones that you're looking to achieve over the next 6 to 12 months?
Yes, my vision is much further than that. I do have goals for out to 5 years, and the CLT, my core leadership team, are driving towards that. But over the next 6 to 12 months, certainly the expansion of Citizen 360 globally, and also being able to get funding specifically for that separately to expand that, and building the partnerships globally. I think that's a high priority. The other one is really about the expansion in Southeast Asia, the JVs in Indonesia and Saudi Arabia, and building that team to really take advantage of the growth and trends there. So we are looking to nearly double our staff over the next 12 months, probably less than that. We've just in the last 2 months brought on 6 new individuals, and the pipeline is just growing. So really looking to expand rapidly and build that global presence.
Amazing. Excellent. Well, congratulations on everything that has been achieved so far, and I wish you all the luck with your venture. So for the investors watching our interview today, please feel free to get in touch with Dan and his team. You've heard it all from him, and the investment opportunity that this brilliant investment opportunity that this is. There will be details at the side of the screen and even in the description. So please reach out to Dan. Someone from his team will be available to get back to you. Well, thank you, Dan, again for joining me and sharing all about the journey at Asention. We all look forward to keeping tabs on it.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
You.
And thank you, everyone.